Hey guys, we're so excited to have you on board. Having a low credit score we know can be very stressful, so we want to help you get your score up and repair it quickly and legally. Click the link below so that we can schedule a free consultation. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Serena Mann, aka the Credit Doctor of VA, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Wealthy Wednesday. Wealthy Wednesday is where we give you tips on how to keep your money wealthy, how to keep your spirit wealthy, how to keep your mind wealthy, and your physical body. And so, for the past week or two, we've been talking about debt. And we're talking about it because who in the world wants to be in a lot of debt? Normally when people are in a lot of debt, it affects their physical body. They normally are stressed out, very tense. It affects your mental state. And, a lot of times they're boggled down and just emotionally, not where they need to be. So with debt, we want to make sure that you have a solid plan on overcoming it. So last week we talked about how much debt is too much debt, how to calculate your debt to income ratio. And this week we're going to be talking about how to reduce your debt. And so the first step in reducing your debt is understanding what debt reduction is. So let's say, for instance, you have $10,000 in debt that you owe someone. So it could be a loan, it could be, a credit card. You just have $10,000 that you owe to someone else. That is your debt. Now, to reduce it, we want to get that $10,000 number down. So we can look at, paying $1,000 on it from our stimulus check. That would definitely help us to reduce our debt down. Another way is, if you don't have the funds on hand, is to negotiate with your creditors, especially if they are past due accounts. Now, with past due accounts, you can look at a settlement. You can contact the creditor and say, hey, I know I owe $1,000. Would you be willing to accept $600 in exchange for this debt being settled and done? And they'll negotiate with you. They'll let you know, well, we can do 600, or if we can't do 600, we'll take 7. And then once you guys both agree on the figure, then you're able to pay that debt off, and it was at a lesser amount than what it originally was. Another thing is, if it's so out of your hands, if it's so overwhelming, you might want to consider going to a debt consolidation company, or you could do it yourself. It just depends on your situation. But with debt consolidation, instead of having multiple payments to different creditors, you want to put them all together in one payment. And why you want to do this is because it's going to save you money with interest. Okay, so let's say, for instance, you have, I don't know, Old Navy credit card, JC Penney credit card, Walmart credit card, a Target card, and each one of those cards might have a balance of a few $1,000s, and you're paying $75 a month here, $100 a month there, 200 here, 300. All of those individual payments, when you do a consolidation, you will basically put them all together into one lump sum. And the same thing will happen with the debt. All of the debts will be consolidated into one lump sum. So you wouldn't pay all the individual people anymore. You would just pay one person, and you would just have one payment. Now, you can do this yourself if you have credit cards and your credit is in a good place. You can go to your bank and get a personal loan. So let's say your total credit card debt is $5,000, and it's spread up through those different cards like we just talked about. What you can go to the bank and say, okay, I would like to get a loan, a personal loan for $5,000. So the bank gives you that loan for $5,000. It's going to tell you what your monthly payment is going to be and what's your interest rate. And then you take that $5,000 and you pay off all your credit cards. So now your credit cards are gone. They're paid off. You transferred that debt basically from the credit cards to a loan, but the loan consolidated all of the credit card payments into one. And normally, An installment loan is going to have lesser interest than a revolving line like a credit card. So having a loan on your credit report with installments sometimes is better if you have a lot of open credit cards and they have high utilizations. So that's one way you can consolidate it. Now, let's say if your credit is not the best and is still out of control, what you could look at doing then is going to a debt consolidation company. And a lot of times they will not be able to help you unless you are a few months behind on your payments. Okay. If you're a few months behind on your credit cards, normally they can go in, they can negotiate with your creditors. They have relationships with creditors all around the country. And so they'll basically take out a loan with you and they will pay off your debt. And instead of you paying the credit card people, now you're going to be paying them. So you're going to pay them the money and they're going to be basically giving the money to the credit card people for you. So they charge, a markup, of course, for their service. But I've seen it work for some people that they've gotten tens of thousands of dollars of debt forgiven. So you just kind of got to weigh it out and see what might be the best option for you. But those are two ways you can definitely consider consolidating. Now, the other thing that you can do is if you have high credit card utilization and that is your main source of debt, you could look at doing some balance transfers. And I've done this myself. So when I first got my credit card years ago, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I drove it up. The price, not the price, but the debt on it just went up so high. I think it was like maybe around $3,000. I know that's not astronomical, but for me, being young, that was a lot. So what I did was I had found another credit card issuer and they were offering 0% APR for the first, I think it was 18 months. And so I could go from paying, I think my interest rate was around 16% with the credit card that I had. So I have a $3,000 balance and I'm paying 16% interest on that. I went from that to having a $3,000 balance when I transferred it and paying no interest on it for 18 months. So within that 18-month period of time, I was able to pay it off. I just had to go in and really look at what my spending plan was and see where I could pull from different areas so that I could have that extra money to pay it off because I didn't have the interest standing in my way anymore. So that's the way that you can also, reduce your debt quickly is doing a balance transfer. The last one, and I don't really like this option to be the first option because a lot of people don't really understand how it works. But the last option is if it's just so overwhelming, you're in so much debt, you just cannot manage it whatsoever. You might want to consider filing bankruptcy. That's definitely a way that you can reduce your debt. Bankruptcy is not terrible, it's just a forgiveness of debt. Now, the issue is a lot of people, like I said, don't understand how bankruptcy works. So they might have $2,000 or $3,000 in debt and they want to go file bankruptcy. That's not the best move. For $2,000 or $3,000 of debt, you can pay that off yourself. That's not anything, even if you on disability, you have a very limited fixed income, you can set up arrangements to pay that off. That's not a lot of money. So why would you want to take the hit on your credit and be in a situation for at least 2 years you're not going to be able to use your credit to buy a home and all those kind of things for such little debt? You know, you can easily sit down, build out a spending plan, and put together a payment method that you can reduce that debt over a course of time. So if you're not, a little bit in debt, if you have, thousands upon thousands of dollars, I normally say if you're in like $50,000 or more worth of debt, depending on what your income is, you got to go back to that debt to income ratio. You want to keep your debt to income ratio under a certain amount. Normally, you want to keep it around about 35 to 45% debt to income. So if you're at the place where you're $50,000 in debt and your debt to income ratio is 70%, 80%, 90%, and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul and everybody else, you may be a good person to consider, bankruptcy. Now, there's two different types of bankruptcy, and I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, so I'm not going to get into all the details of it. But I will say that with one of the choices, which is a Chapter 7, that will stay on your credit for 10 years. Okay, so just be prepared to have that public record on your credit report for 10 years if you file a Chapter 7. If you file a Chapter 13, that stays on your credit for 7 years, okay? So same thing, just know that if you do that, it's going to stay on your credit for at least 7 years and show up under the public records. So let's recap, because I know that was a lot of information, but how to reduce your debt. You can look at negotiating with creditors to do settlements. You can consolidate your outstanding debts. You can do balance transfers. And last but not least, you can do bankruptcy. We don't want to put bankruptcy first. Okay, now, if you need help getting started, you don't really know which direction to go in, it's just all overwhelming, we understand. That's why we're here to help you. So you can give us a call at 1-844-2-UP-FICO, and we'll be happy to give you a consultation to kind of hear what you have going on and to let you know how we can assist you so that you can get to the lifestyle that you want to get to and not let your money or anything else stand in your way. So I hope you enjoyed this information. If you did, please do me a favor and hit that like button and comment below and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so that you can continue to get great information that will help you live a holistically healthy life. Until the next time, guys, peace.
Hey guys, we're so excited to have you on board. Having a low credit score we know can be very stressful, so we want to help you get your score up and repair it quickly and legally. Click the link below so that we can schedule a free consultation.